A Call to Compassion Audio presents Body, Mind, and Machine, My Journey in Clinical Engineering and the Evolution of Healthcare Technology Management. Written and narrated by the author, that's me, Joe Bandra. Author's note. This book began with a word that didn't quite belong anywhere, clinical. Paired with engineering, it sounded like a bridge, half bedside, half workshop, built for a future that was arriving. What follows is a memoir, but it is also a witness statement. I entered healthcare through machines, X-ray systems, monitors, incubators, therapy units. Yet I quickly learned that the true subject was never equipment. It was trust. A missing spring could halt an entire clinic. A ballpoint pen could become a temporary lifeline. A calibration could be the difference between reassurance and catastrophe. In those moments, engineering stopped being abstract and became intimate. Along the way, my path carried me from India to the United States, from maintaining devices to leading people, from night shifts and pager calls to boardroom decisions shaped by safety, ethics, and human factors. I have watched the field grow from analog beginnings into an era of AI, robotics, connected care, and possibilities we once filed under science fiction. If this book has one message, it is simple. Machines matter most when they serve humanity, and the profession that chose me exists to keep that promise. Introduction. In 1978, I first heard about a new discipline that Osmania University, Hyderabad, India, was considering offering, clinical engineering. The word struck me. They didn't belong entirely to medicine, nor did they sit comfortably within traditional engineering. Instead, they pointed to something new, something in between, something beyond established boundaries. It was not a passing curiosity or an academic distraction. It felt like a calling spoken quietly but unmistakably. At the time, my relationship with technology was modest but meaningful. I owned a cherished Kodak camera that could freeze moments in time, a handheld Sony cassette player that preserved voices and music, and a Philips pocket transistor radio that pulled sound from invisible waves in the air. Even these small devices carried a sense of wonder. They demonstrated that technology, when shaped with care, could extend human presence, memory, and connection. They hinted at the possibility that machines could serve life, not as cold instruments, but as partners in human experience. I did not yet know it, but that quiet sense of wonder would become a lifelong pursuit, understanding how technology, when responsibly designed and thoughtfully used, could serve human well-being in the most intimate of settings. This book is both a personal memoir and a witness to the birth of a discipline. It tells the story of clinical engineering as I have lived it, through experiments, early failures, unexpected breakthroughs, and questions that remain unanswered even today. But it is also an invitation to students searching for a meaningful career, to engineers wondering how their skills might serve a greater purpose, to physicians, nurses, and technologists curious about collaboration, and to anyone who has ever marveled at the fragile intersection where machines touch the body and the mind. When I look back now, I realize that I wasn't simply choosing a profession, I was witnessing its creation. Clinical engineering in those early years was still struggling to define itself. It had no clear borders, no established traditions, and little recognition within the hospital hierarchy. Yet even then, it was destined to become as essential as the emergency room or the operating theater. We were not merely fixing machines, we were safeguarding lives. Each calibration, each safety test, each design decision carried consequences measured in human survival. Over time, doctors and nurses began to see us not as outsiders or technicians in the background, but as partners, professionals who spoke both the language of engineering and the language of care. In the decades since, I have watched this field grow from fragile beginnings into a cornerstone of modern medicine. In the early days, hospitals hummed with analog ventilators, bulky monitors, and prosthetics that barely imitated natural function. Imaging systems were slow and imprecise, data was scarce, and innovation moved cautiously. Yet even then there was momentum, a sense that medicine was on the brink of transformation. Today, we live in an era of robotic surgery, tissue engineering, artificial intelligence, and nanotechnology, tools that are redefining how we diagnose, treat, and even prevent disease. Machines now assist surgeons with sub-millimeter precision. Algorithms detect patterns invisible to the human eye. Engineered tissues replace damaged organs. Devices communicate wirelessly, continuously monitoring the rhythms of life itself. What makes clinical engineering extraordinary is its breadth. It is not purely mechanical, electrical, or biological, but all of these at once, woven together in service of the human body and mind. Physics and mathematics model blood flow, biomechanics, and nerve conduction. Chemistry and biology provide biomaterials, biosensors, and advanced drug delivery systems. Civil and mechanical engineering reveal bones as beams, joints as hinges, and muscles as dynamic actuators. Electrical and computer engineering bring forth pacemakers, imaging systems, neural interfaces, and AI-driven diagnostics. Robotics, optics, materials, science, and nanotechnology join the symphony, expanding what is possible. And at the center of this orchestra stands the greatest instrument of all, the human body and mind, the most intricate, resilient, and mysterious machine ever known. If there is one force that has carried me through this field, it is my reverence for the ultimate instrument, the human body. Not as a static structure, but as a living system, adaptive, fragile, resilient, and endlessly complex. My passion has never belonged to a single discipline. It has lived at the intersection of preservation, healing, knowledge, and problem solving. It asks the same question again and again. What is possible when the body, the mind, and the machine speak to one another? This communication between the human body and the sciences ignited my curiosity, an inquiring mind that refused to stay within traditional boundaries. I was captivated by the idea that biology could converse with engineering, that anatomy could inform design, and that technology could extend, restore, or reimagine human function. In those moments, possibility ceased to be abstract. It became tangible, measurable, and deeply human. That passion sustained me through long nights, failed prototypes, ethical dilemmas, and moments of doubt. When solutions collapsed and certainty dissolved, the body remained my compass. Each setback became an invitation to listen more closely, to physiology, to data, to lived experience. I learned that progress is not driven by perfection, but by persistence and humility before complexity. Over time, this devotion gave me more than a profession. It gave me a language for understanding myself. The body became both subject and teacher, revealing how closely identity is tied to function, limitation, and adaptation. In seeking to preserve and heal it, I began to understand my own resilience. In studying its systems, I discovered my own capacity for synthesis. In building machines that serve it, I learned the responsibility that comes with creation. Ultimately, my work is not about technology alone, nor science in isolation. It is about possibility. The possibility of restoring movement, of easing suffering, of expanding human potential while honoring human dignity. My passion has become a lantern, illuminating not only a professional path shaped by body, mind, and machine, but the ongoing discovery of who I am and what I am capable of becoming. This book is the story of that journey. The book is scheduled to be launched on May 12th at the Clinical Engineering Association of Illinois Annual Conference in Chicago. I look forward to celebrating this moment with the healthcare community.